Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is officially the last No Huddle Rodeo of the regular season. We are broadcasting from the Fort Worth Stockyards, brought to you by Runyon's Fine Furniture and Justin Boots, as always, as we have been all summer long. If you missed it, earlier this week, we kind of did the full wrap-up show of the Governor's Cup, did the biggest stories from that, talked about the timed event, unofficial final results pending audit. Well, now after the duel at the Dunes, we have the unofficial rough stock results. And with those unofficial rough stock results, we had some end of season, some September 30th, last second changes to the top 15 in a pair of rough stock events. Lefty Holman wins $4,192 at the duel at the Dunes. It is ultimately enough to jump Wyatt Casper. Casper was in 15th at the beginning of the day. So on September 30th, Wyatt Casper woke up and he was number 15 in the world. But this is, again, like any sport, pro rodeo in particular, and with the addition of the duel at the Dunes this year in particular, he woke up September 30th in the NFR. He went to bed on September 30th out of the NFR. Lefty Holman, the exact flip side of that. Entered, woke up September 30th out of the NFR, woke up the next morning in the NFR field. And I will say, to lose it on the last day like that when you were hurt like Wyatt Casper was, and to fight all the way through this year after making NFR, every NFR since 2020, you have to feel for Wyatt Casper in that situation. On the flip side of it, though, this is sports. There's winners and losers, highs and lows, all of that. I will say the NFR is much more entertaining if Lefty Holman is there. So I am very excited to see Lefty Holman back at the NFR after battling on the bubble really all summer long. Same was true for Mason Clemens. And the audit may come into play for the bareback riding because Mason Clemens wins $1,800 at the duel at the Dunes. He goes from 16 to 14, bumps Tilden Hooper down to 15. So remember, Tilden Hooper goes from outside the top 20. He is unofficially in the 15th spot as we sit here on October 2nd. After that miraculous comeback by winning the Rough Rider Cup, by making the semifinals of the Governor's Cup, winning 30,000 plus in the last 13 days of the regular season. So he right now is in for NFR 10, but the reason I say that audit may come into play, it's because Mason Clemens at 14, Tilden Hooper at 15, RC Landingham at 16, all separated by about $300. So that is why it is unofficial until it is official. Bareback riding may be a test case in that. Also in the bareback riding, everyone in the top 13 this year is under the age of 30. So you get down to the Mason Clemens, the Tilden Hooper, RC Landingham was 16th, Orrin Larson was 17th, all those guys in their mid-30s with multiple NFR qualifications. This year, 4 new qualifiers, all of them in the top 13. Sam Peterson, Waylon Bourgeois, Jacek Frost, and Wesley Shaw all making their NFR debuts in the bareback riding. And again, the oldest guy in the top 13, Garrett Shadbolt at 29. The second oldest guy in the top 13, Jess Pope at 26 years old. So a changing of the guard that kind of started in 2023 with that rookie class that featured Cade Sunier, Dean Thompson, Keenan Hayes, and you had Rocker Steiner before that. Bradley Miller's gotten in the mix. So a lot of new faces who have really established themselves as really good bareback riders who are going to be around for a very long time. Another rough stock event I want to talk about. In the saddle bronc riding, we've got Ryder Wright, Damian Brennan, Dawson Hay, and Zeke Thurston, all within about $50,000 of each other, all had terrific summers. If I had to circle one event right now that I was most excited for, I think it would be the bronc riding, because I say all that. Reigning world champion Ryder Wright enters number 1. But he was probably, again, I'm going to say least consistent among the top 4. Zeke Thurston, Damian Brennan was terrific all summer long. Dawson Hay won the Governor's Cup. So any of those 4 guys, it's going to make for a very intriguing world title race and a real I mean, some Battle of Titans type stuff. Damian Brennan was terrific last year, entered the NFR number 1. He's going to enter number 2 this year. He had the best summer of any bronc rider. Again, you've got Zeke, who's always around, always making big rides. Led the PRCA in average score. Dawson Hay was up there with him. He was second all year long on that stat. And then you've got reigning world champion Ryder Wright up there as well. So a little bit top heavy in the bronc riding, because then you get down Cade Bruno, Brody Wells, about $30,000 back from Zeke Thurston, but no event in pro rodeo this year is as top heavy as the bull riding. But what I will say about that bull riding is, I mentioned this on Tuesday's episode of No Huddle Rodeo, wrapping up the Governor's Cup. For the entire season, really, we thought it was going to only be Stetson Wright or Wacy Shala, and the stats prove that. On August 29th, number 1 and number 4, at the time that was Wacy Shala and Kai Hamilton. So Wacy Shala and Kai Hamilton on August 29th. They are separated by about $114,000. In about a month's time, fast forward to October 1st, we've got Wacy Shala number 1, Stetson Wright number 2, Kai Hamilton number 3, Tristan Hutchings number 4. They are now separated by about $60,000. So this is absolutely a race. And in that race, we've got Wacy Shala, the guy who led the world standings more weeks than anyone else. We've got Stetson Wright, who rode bulls at a higher average score than anyone else, and is also just Stetson Wright. He's done incredible things all season long. Then we've got Kai Hamilton, who won over $100,000 in September, rode over 70% in September, and really announced himself as someone who is going to be a factor in this race. And then, oh, by the way, Tristan Hutchings made $50,000 in September as well, and last year had more 90-point rides than anyone else in pro rodeo. And he's always good for 1 or 2 90-point rides at the NFR. He won 4 rounds in his debut at the National Finals Rodeo in 2023. And that's your bull riding race right there. So that's also super exciting. And you talk about the drop off in the bronc riding was about $30,000. In bull riding, we drop off down to TJ Gray after we have that top. And when we go from TJ Gray to Tristan Hutchings, or from Tristan Hutchings to TJ Gray, between 4 and 5, the difference there is about $108,000. And then you also look at the bull riding, and you've got 6 new faces this year. Hudson Bolton and Quinn Anderson, the rookies. Hudson Bolton leads Quinn Anderson by about $18,000 in that Resistol rookie race. Remember, Hudson Bolton looking to become the first cowboy ever to win PBR and PRCA Rookie of the Year in the same season. Then you go all the way down, and everyone 11 through 15, Bryce Jensen, Mason Moody, Raleigh Johnson, Jesse Petrie, and Luke Mackey, all making their NFR debuts as well. So 6 guys, that is more than any other event. I pause. It has been a lot of rough stock for this show because, again, timed events already were all wrapped up after the Governor's Cup. There was no final day rodeo in the timed events. But I will say, team roping, something we've been talking about for a lot of different reasons, how tight the world title race is between so many good guys on both sides. But also, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I count 4 headers: Dustin Egaskiza, Clay Smith, Colton Schmidt, Lightning Aguilera, whose healer did not make it. Then I count 3 healers: Levi Lord, Kane Profili, and Jonathan Torres, whose headers did not make it. So you look at just that, 4 headers, 3 healers. There's going to need to be some weird shuffling there. Then you also look at some other storylines in that. Dustin Egaskiza and Levi Lord roped together at a couple NFRs. They split up this year. Were always terrific in the regular season. Both of their new partners did not make the NFR. Do they get back together and rope together at the National Finals Rodeo and get out some of the demons they've had the last couple of years when they've been in world title contention? And then you look at Tanner Tomlinson. He roped with Travis Graves for the entire year. They were number 1 at points in the year. But then Tanner Tomlinson at the Governor's Cup roped with Colby Payne, and they got second at the Governor's Cup. They roped really, really well there. And right now, Tanner Tomlinson is number 2 in the world, and Colby Payne is number 6 in the world. And Colby Payne's about $50,000 from a world title. Do they rope together? Well, Clay Smith and Colby Payne have roped a lot together. And Clay Smith's main partner for the end of the year, Nicky Northcott, the rookie, he finished 16th. He did not make the NFR. So gunning for a world title, $40,000 out of a world title race, who does Clay Smith rope with? Because he did win the cinch shootout with Colby Payne this year. But again, Colby Payne has roped with Tanner Tomlinson recently. He's roped with Junior D's. Junior D's not making the NFR. So who does Colby Payne rope with? Who does Dustin Egaskiza rope with? Who does Clay Smith rope with? Who does Levi Lord rope with? Again, Caden Profili without Brenton Hall. So there's just so much to sort through. Usually it's a formality when you get to the Team Roping Journal, who is so good at covering all things NFR and all things team roping, by the way, so read their stuff. But when they announce the pairs, it is usually just a formality that almost everyone is roped with who they roped with all season long. This year, more so than any of my 7 NFRs, I'm incredibly curious to figure out who the heck is roping together in the team roping. Because I think there could be a lot of pairs we haven't seen, or pairs we haven't seen in a while, or pairs we haven't seen in years. That's super, super fascinating to me. So we'll be on that when that comes out. So that is a wrap on everything there is to discuss for the end of the regular season as a whole. First of all, thank you for joining us in our Upstart No Huddle Rodeo all summer long, all season long. We're not even close to done yet for 2025, though. We've got, obviously, the NFR coming up, and we're going to have a loaded NFR calendar. To be honest, some of it still needs to be figured out. But here's kind of how it's going to work, broadly speaking. In the same style we do No Huddle Rodeo, we're going to do a preview of every single event. So we'll have 7 of those, 20 to 30 minutes. We'll have stats, we'll have history, we'll have historical trends, we'll have all that. Hopefully some interviews in there as well. We'll have all of those in the 45, 50 days leading up to the NFR. We will also have Pro Fantasy Rodeo, which this I'm still trying to decide. Do we do them all rough stock as one, all timed event as one, and kind of make those 25 to 30 minutes as well? Or do we split them up by individual events? Again, still deciding there, but we will be the best place for all things Pro Fantasy Rodeo. Then also, the morning kick is not done, because at the morning kick, we like to tell little stories as quickly as possible. And obviously with the NFR, there are more stories and more history than anyone could ever imagine. And so we're going to try to take some of those special moments from National Finals rodeos past and see if we can condense them into 5 or 6 minutes to get you a little taste of what this means and a little historical perspective on all things NFR. Regardless, one thing is true. From about October 15th to December 3rd, so 45, 48, 50 days, whatever that is, we will have about 20 videos go up on this channel. And they will be across a wide swath of, again, previews, fantasy, history, all of it. The best way to get that, because we don't know what the exact schedule is going to be. I'll try to update you when I know a little bit more about that. But the best way to do that is to hit the little bell, is to subscribe, turn notifications on, so every time we get a video, you get notified. It goes right to your YouTube homepage, because trust me, you do not want to miss it. If there is one thing I can tell you, if you watch every video on our channel coming up between now and the beginning of the National Finals Rodeo, you will be the smartest person about the 2025 NFR amongst all your friends. So we don't want you to gatekeep this. Tell your friends, like, share, comment, subscribe, all of it. Help us continue to grow heading into the National Finals. And again, I promise you, this will be the best place on YouTube, on the internet, to cover all things NFR. Also, follow US Cowboy on all social. Go on uscowboy.com, because we are far from finished for 2025. But until then, This is the final episode of No Huddle Rodeo for the regular season. We are presented by Runyon's Fine Furniture. We are presented by Justin Boots, and we will see you beginning next week for all things 2025 National Finals Rodeo. Thank you for joining us again. We'll see you then.